Good morning, folks. You're off the beaten trail with Edward today, the 2nd of October 2023. Thought I'd show you a little place that I lived for 18 years. Haven't lived here since the fall of 2014. We're going to talk about not only where I lived just for a second, its location, but the association with 4 deaths within a 2-year period of time, right here in pretty close proximity, as well as at the end of this street, just beyond that blue pickup truck, 4 murders. Be right back with you. Well, folks, this is my home 20 for 18 years. I planted those burning bushes when they were the size of basketballs. That pine tree in the back is a mint julep, and I planted that tree when it was the size of an umbrella. The new owner has done the rest of the work. Down here, I'm going to show you the site of the first person I found dead here in the park. Then we're going to move on to the second, the third, and then around the corner, the 4th. Be right back. Okay, folks, you see the little light yellow home here with the brown steps. It's where my buddy Bob lived. And I knew him for probably a good 15 years. We're out here in his driveway one day, and the home that's right down here, you just see the SUV parked, the silver SUV. Across the street, there's a little home there with a red car in the driveway and red shutters. There was a gentleman that pushed his lawnmower out into the middle of the street. He was mowing his lawn and collapsed right there, dead. Massive heart attack. We went down there to check on that. We seen him collapse, but he was dead. Emergency services came right away. It's just too bad. But wasn't long. Bob's car was in the shop. He asked me if I could come down and take him grocery shopping the next day about noon, which I could. That was no problem. I walked through his front door, inside, found Bob dead, sitting there on his couch. Coroner said massive heart attack. He'd been dead about 13 hours when I found him. I'm gonna move on down the street just a little ways. Well, the old place looks pretty good. So's the whole park here. We're gonna talk about this little white home right here. I did not know the people very well. Didn't even know their names. One day, he came running over to my house, banging on the door, said something was wrong with his girlfriend. They were both in their late 30s. My friend Bob was in his middle 50s. The other gentleman that had the lawnmower down there, he was in his 60s. But anyways, I ran over here with this fella, went inside, and her name Mary, was deceased. Again, 30s. Coroner called it a accidental overdose. Gonna move down the street here just a little ways. Okay, folks, right here is a home of a retired couple back in the day. Late summer of 2014. He was known as Smoker Bob, a chain smoker. He would stand out there in that little white balcony and had his butt bucket there, and he would just smoke and smoke and smoke. Everybody that walked by knew him as Smoker Bob. On the corner right here, it's a poor way to do it. We'll do this a little bit different. Right on this corner in the side of his yard. I found him twice laying there collapsed. He'd had too much medication and got him up into his house. Others found him down here just a little ways. You see that white fence? That's where just beyond it there is where our mailboxes were. And they found him there collapsed as well. But one day, I was back here coming out of my home, which is right here behind us, as you can see. I was out there on the porch, and I looked down here and seen Smoker Bob laying face down, downhill on his steps right there. And so I made my way over there post haste and was checking him. He was dead. He was deceased. Lady came that lived in this white house right here on the corner, and she came over. Of course, 911 was called, and that was Smoker Bob. That was 4 people now here, 3 that I've found in the park. One, of course, we were standing there. I was standing there with Bob as that other gentleman pushed the lawnmower into the street and collapsed. Later than finding Bob. Now we're going to go down here to the end of the street and take a quick look there. Then we'll proceed. Okay, folks, we're here at the end of the street looking to the west. And if you can just see over the top of that white barn, you can see a little building, a peak of a building in the background. Move here a little bit in the top of the building. Okay, that's Cracker Barrel Restaurant, where Cracker Barrel Restaurant used to be on 130, on 9th Street and I-94. Hold the thought, I'll be right back. Okay, folks, for several years now, the site I'm going to show you has been closed. The restaurant closed, and another ownership now has put this heavy security fence up around the property. The property is for sale. I'm talking about the Cracker Barrel Restaurant here. This is on 9th Street and I-94. I don't know how any other way to get in here to show you a location here that is going to be part of an upcoming video I'm making on the Jason Dalton Uber killer story. But right here, straight ahead, just next to these trees right here in the parking area. Maybe I can do that just a little differently. Right here next to those trees, a little parking island, is where Dalton pulled in here during his killing rampage that night after shooting and wounding a young lady on the far east side of Kalamazoo who was shielding her children and protected them. She took all the hits. She survived. He then drove out to a car dealership near here on the west side of Kalamazoo, and there was a father and son looking in a vehicle. The son's girlfriend was waiting in their vehicle, and Dalton pulled up in cold blood, murdered both those fellas. The girlfriend, he didn't see her, and later said that if he had, he would have killed her too. She exited the vehicle and ran over to her boyfriend, who had the cell phone, and retrieved it from his pocket. Of course, he was dead, and she called the emergency services. Well, Dalton headed on out here and pulled up there in that parking lot right there I'm showing you. And there were 4 literal little old ladies, 2 of them sisters. They were in 3 different vehicles. One of the ladies had a young teen, a young lady who was a friend of the family, come along with her that night. And so the 4 little old ladies and the young teen were sitting there in their vehicles, and Dalton pulled up and shot them all. Killed all 4 of the ladies and grievously wounded the young teen. We're not mentioning names until I do the full video to honor them fully, but just to show you today. By the way, the young teen, she survived and she's a hero, and so did the young woman on the east side of Kalamazoo that shielded her own daughter and other children and took all the bullets that night. And this is where it ended, the shooting spree. He was arrested downtown in Kalamazoo. We're going to look at that site during the full video. There's an awful lot to unpack in this case. It is quite an intricate story, and I have to do it with honor for these people who were murdered and grievously wounded. That saying, we just looked at site down on Manufactured Home Community right behind this building, where I myself have found 3 people deceased. And of course we watched the one fellow walk out and pass away there in his own near his own driveway. Not far away from here, just on the other side of this hotel, not a quarter of a mile, is where I did the video earlier about Miss Wilson being found dead there, naked, in her running vehicle that was had taken a nosedive into an embankment, and she had been murdered. That's in an earlier video. If you look that up, you'll find out more about that. So right here in this general area, a lot's gone on, including Miss Wilson. That's 5 murders right here, very close by, in a really nice area. This is a nice area. But that being said, this property is now for sale. It's all gated off. Who knows what's going to happen to it? Cracker Barrel, about a year or so after the incident here with the murders, had a bacterial infection of the property, if you will, and they just could not find the source or how to get it cleaned up, and so the plug was pulled, and that was it. So here it sets an awful lot of history. With that being said, thank you for being along with me here today. And if you like this video, please give me the thumbs up. I sure do appreciate that. And to hit that notification button, and remember to subscribe. Giving all the honor here today of these people that were murdered. Gosh, just can't believe it. Here at the Cracker Barrel. Talk to you later. Have a good day.